Tell me about that song you just performed, the Baseness.
So yeah, that was the Baseness. That was a version, Quake Bass, who's was playing the electribe there. That's a kind of remix that he did.
Cool.
He's the drummer in the band and in the live show as we go around. And my oldest friend as well, which is nice to have.
That's
that.
nice to go on the
it's a
road
good
with your
vibe.
oldest friend, right?
My big little brother. I don't know really what to say about the song, man. It's all in the lyric, you know. It's like
Amazing lyrics. The things you don't say, they speak to me.
yeah.
Does that one sum it up for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of life that is just all about the surface, this kind of synthetic, man-made surface stuff, and it's not real. It's not enough. It's not enough for humanity to be dealing with. And there's so much going on. People are in such states of crisis, and they feel like they have to keep it in. They feel like they have to just cope and carry on.
It's this default mode of being, right?
Yeah. Well, it has become that, but it's not natural. It's not the way that we should be like relating to one another, to like have our eyes closed to each other's, you know, actual experiences, like actual life, you know, real life, not just this like, you know, 9 to 5, get on the train. Like, don't, you know, I don't know. It's a kind of a complaint or an observation, or it's just a song. I don't know. It's up to you.
You tell stories like that in so many different ways: poems, stories, plays. But you started out with hip hop.
Yeah.
What was it that drew you to hip hop? Is there a song or an artist that blew your mind initially?
Well, there was like a load of them at once. You know, it's like when I've always known about hip hop. It's the dominant cultural musical force. Like obviously, it's not like it was never a secret. But when I think I was about 12 or 13, and it was just like all of them at once. Suddenly I was listening to kind of Wu-Tang and Mos Def and like Big L and Lauryn Hill and Eminem. It was like the Miseducation had just come out, and I think I was just 13 at the time. And I had a job in a record store. I got this job in this shop, and I was about 14, so I was already like deeply in love with the music and the culture. And then I just got to spend all day just listening.
Do you remember any particular lyric or song that just made you go, okay, wow, words have another power to them?
Yeah, like, you know, 12 Jewels, the RZA track on the Gravediggers record. That, when I heard 12 Jewels, actually the whole Gravediggers record, The Night the Earth Cried, that was the one that it was just absolutely just like took the floor out from under me, you know. It was like, what is this? Also, Triumph, on Wu-Tang's Triumph, like every single verse, Jizz's verse, but like, and like there's a couple of like Capadonna verses as well on that Forever album that I was like.
That's interesting because
really
he has the very poetic style.
Yeah, he's so deep, like, and it took me a while actually to be able to, you know, the beautiful thing about hip hop is that you get it in one way when you're young and you first hear it and you love it for certain reasons, and then as you grow, the lyric grows with you, and then you go back to it and you hear new things, you understand new ways of listening, and you will never understand what the writer essentially wanted you to hear, but you have this relationship with the lyric where it's just constantly growing, constantly organic. Like you can never get bored of a lyric that you know inside and out, you know.
But as you grow, it kind of your understanding grows.
Yeah,
as
or
well.
just where you're at changes. So
it was interesting for me to try and pick apart your influences or discover your influences through this album because it's very narrative.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of storytelling rappers. There aren't that many anymore. I think of Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
Are your narrative influences from within hip hop, or does that come from elsewhere?
Well, it's a combination of lots of things. So, for example, I think Ghostface is one of the most amazing storytellers, and I think Biggie was like, yeah, he's such a great storyteller. Also, it depends what you think of when you say narrative, like, because you could say that every single song ever written is a narrative song. It's a narrative about something, right?
Yeah.
There's somebody taking you through an experience or a moment. If it's well written, it should do that, you know, and it tells a story of a kind. But I was like, I've always loved the storytelling MCs. I get so excited, like, you know, like the track The Heist on the record is a kind of direct reference. It's like tipping my hat to like Biggie Smalls, I Got a Story to Tell, you know, or like just these like amazing, complex kind of ruses that hip hop does so well. But obviously, like, coming from a very different place, the story, the characters and the stories are different, you know.
How do you feel you relate to the broader world of hip hop? I talked about your storytelling style, to me, being quite unique. How do you feel, like, in terms of your connection to the broader world of hip hop, in the bigger picture?
Well, I think that what hip hop taught me, hip hop culture taught me so many lessons when I was young, and like I learned so much from the culture about how to be present with myself, and the emphasis on keeping it real and on authenticity in hip hop is very important. So for me to be who I am, a young woman from London who loves language and reading and loves where I'm from and loves, the way that I can honor the lessons I got from hip hop is by just knowing what I'm saying, knowing what I'm doing, knowing how I'm carrying myself, understanding my path, my journey, making sure I keep myself educated, keep reading, keep inspired. Use all of the inspiration, acknowledge it, honor it, and put that honor and that energy back into what I'm making. So when I think about hip hop as a broader culture, I mean that's a kind of abstract concept, but I think about my relationship with the hip hop community in London. That's like something that that's tangible. I know what that is.
Yeah.
But when I think about it in a broader context, it's like all I can say is I receive so much from it, and I just want to give. I just want to give back
your own authentic piece.
Yeah, man. You have to be. Yeah, it's me. This is Kate. Like this is where, and it's like I received a lot from hip hop. I received a lot from literature. I received a lot from my family, my friends, my environment. And if you're an artist, you're constantly immersed in experience, and you should always be receiving inspiration from wherever you find it. And it's I think it's important to just keep those channels open. And I never like restricted myself to just listening to rap music. It's just that I loved it,
In terms of experience, you grew up in Southeast London.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was amazing. It's like it's a magical place, South London. It really is. Like I genuinely believe that. There's something in the soil there.
What do you mean by magical?
Man, there's just you get people in South London. I suppose you get in any big city anywhere in the world. It's so full of life and pain and people and experience that it creates a kind of magic tension. But all these people, all these forces living together, like up against each other, and you absorb what you learn about life is so savage and so hard, but also so beautiful and so kind of perfect. And like London, it's a very creative space. South London specifically, where I grew up, there was a lot of young kids who we were making music together, we were making art together, people were painting graffiti, people were dancing, people were playing instruments. Like, that's how we had our fun, it's how we partied, it's how we worked. Back in the day in South London, there were spaces where we could use them for free. There were squats and there were like different places.
Like abandoned houses and things like that?
Abandoned houses, or like, sites that people have kind of reclaimed, or like pubs would let us in the afternoons come and rehearse and practice. But now those kind of days are gone because of money and how there are no kind of free, exciting, open spaces. From what I can tell, it's really kind of heartbreaking. The landscape is changing in South London. But I think, this is kind of off the point, but I think it's kind of interesting that what it does is then it forces young kids, they look for those spaces to share community online. Suddenly, so I'm getting sad about, it's changing, but actually the creativity will find its way to out. It's going to be okay, I don't know.
Is there any particular spots that you remember that were formative for you as far as those pubs or abandoned spots? Well,
that was just one example of where we used to rehearse and jam and chill, but like there was this thing called, it was called Speaker's Corner. It was like a free entry, free speech kind of thing. It was a hip hop night, cypher in Brixton, near where I grew up. And man, it was like, it just used to get rammed out, full of rappers. There was like a house band. There was always an emphasis on all the kind of elements of hip hop culture from how we understood it. So there was people would dance, people would play instruments. It was like, and this cypher would go on for hours, and they'd be spill out onto the street. Everyone would be outside cyphering in the courtyard and out on the road and like on the bus home. And that was like, for me, that was a really important time of me just like soaking it up and learning, got to get better, got to have more to say.
So that's how South London influenced your development as an artist. What about your storytelling, the stories you tell?
Well, for a long time, I was trying to be a musician, a rapper, I was making music, I was working with a band, I was doing everything I could, and I got some work writing a play. This guy who ran a theatre company in London saw my poems, saw me telling my poems, and he offered me this commission to write a play. So like, this is my job as well. For like 10 years, I'm trying to make a living out of this. So I was like, okay, I'll try and write a play. And it was kind of agony and difficult, but we got through it. And after that experience, it's like something had switched in my brain where I realised the power of dialogue, the power of narrative arc, the power of structure. I'd always been interested in storytelling. I'd always written stories. But suddenly I had this actual like stepping stone, this milestone in my life was like, okay, I can carry a narrative, like I can do that. I can have these characters talk to each other and it's their voices, not mine. And suddenly just the landscape in my brain changed. So before, when I had an idea, it would always come out
In music.
It was just a rhyme. That's where an idea went. And then suddenly it was like there's this new path opened up. And then from that path, all these other little paths opened up. It was really interesting.
When you get an idea now, is it like, okay, that one's a musical idea, this one is for a play, this one's for a novel, or can you translate any of those ideas anyway?
No, it's just like it's like any craftsperson. They're using different material. You know, you wouldn't use wood to try and make a cup, or you could. But like, you know, if you want to make a coffee cup,
It wouldn't be ideal.
you want to use ceramic or something. So a craftsperson will just think about the idea. What is the best way for me to utilize this idea that I have? How do I make it happen? It's the same with writing. Like it should be anyway, I think.
When I just watch you perform there's so much passion in your delivery. This is in an empty studio. You're still pouring your heart out. When did you realize that words had that kind of power for you?
Well, they just always have. Just always felt so connected to lyrics, music, reading. I think, okay, so we were talking at the beginning
Like
about...
coming out of your own mouth, like knowing that, wow, these words have power.
Oh, well, that's a different thing. I don't know, every time I perform, it's like I'm finding that moment, you know, each time. But like, the stakes are really high for me. Like, this is everything. It's been 15 years now that I've been putting pen to paper and going out rapping and da-da-da. It's been a long time. So I have this relationship with it where it's so much a huge part of how I understand the world. It's the frequency that I operate on, that kind of expression. And you see at the beginning, right, we're talking about the Baseness. We're talking about this kind of internal world that is real, that is kind of denied access in this very synthetic environment. So I find music, culture, art, that's the access point to actual real life. That's the life I care about, real experience, actual feelings, like talking about this real stuff. And like when you sing, when you watch someone sing or rap or play, when you listen to music, when you read a novel, it connects with you in this very direct way. And that's how I want all connection to be. I don't have time for it to be any other way. And that's what I love about rapping, singing, reading, listening, art. It's this direct connection which feels real. It's much more real than, you know? And so when I'm performing, when I'm singing, that's where I'm going. That's what I'm saying.
I find it interesting in our society, that's one of the few places where we let ourselves feel, where we let ourselves get past the Baseness somehow and actually feel something.
Yeah. But, you know, we used to gather in groups to feel together. It was a very important part of how human communities like asserted themselves. It's like that feeling hasn't gone anywhere. It's just the rituals have changed.
I'm talking with Kate Tempest. She's a rapper, poet, playwright. Your words are about beauty and possibility, but they're also sometimes about the hard side of life. Why do you want to explore that in your art?
Because that's what's going on. That's reality, isn't it? It's like, I think it's important to just respond to what you know and feel. And it's not there is no decision-making process where it's like, I am going to make my work full of possibility with maybe some shades of the darker side of life. It's just I'm just responding, you know, I'm just trying to make work.
In some songs, you have both going on at the same time. In a lot of songs, Theme for Becky is a striking one for me. What inspired that?
Why is it striking?
It's a story I've never heard in hip-hop.
Interesting.
Told in this song.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that song and where it came from?
Yeah. So Becky's a character in the album, one of the three main characters, and she works as an erotic masseuse, and she's putting herself through dance classes, dance school. Her passion is dancing. She also works as a waitress. She's working really hard. And this song is like, it's kind of her explanation of how cool she is with the work she does, and it's a kind of beginning of her journey into a relationship with this guy Pete, who she meets in the record.
There's also class issues going on in this song and in this whole album. Do you think that's something enough artists are speaking to in their music?
Yeah, there's plenty of people are making plenty of noise. It's just that I don't know, yeah, I think there is enough real, deep, you know, political or kind of socially aware music being made. It's wonderful what's happening. A lot of people are doing really great things. There is just also this flip side of just absolute kind of mediocre, very safe, kind of rent-a-lyric style stuff, which is fine. That fulfills its purpose. But when we talk about music, you have to understand that I'm not talking about that. Like, I know what that is. I know that it's enjoyable and important for some people, but for me, when you say, is there enough people talking about class issues? Like, of course, like, you know, you listen to music.
Yeah, and one artist I listened to was Willie Mason, who's on your
awesome.
album.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you guys connect?
Oh, man, that was so cool. So Willie Mason works with Dan Carey, who's this producer, this like superstar producer who's amazing. When I say superstar, I don't mean like glamorous. I just mean he's really cool. He's this great guy, genius, man, and he worked with Willie Mason over the last few years. And Willie was hanging out at Dan's studio in Streatham in South London, where I live. And we were just like hanging out. We played some chess in the pub while Dan was like doing something with his kids. We were just hanging out. He's such a cool guy. This record that they made is amazing. And then it just dawned on me, we were making this track. I was like, you know, would you be up for rapping with a chorus on the track? He just did it. It was really cool, man.
Billy Bragg and Sinead O'Connor also count themselves as fans. How does that feel to have people like that engaging with what you do?
It feels fantastic. Like, it feels obviously amazing to have artists that I respect so much. Like, I love Billy Bragg. I can't watch him without crying. You know, it's like I love him so much. And Sinead as well. She's incredible. But I take the same kind of comfort from that. If anybody said they're feeling what I'm doing, it's like. But in a lot of ways, it's not really, it's by the by, you know, as we say in London, it's like, it's not really important if you're just doing your thing and you're on your path. It's like, it's wonderful that people are into it, but that's not really in my head at all. It's like, I'm just trying to get better, you know, you know.
So is your primary urge then to create just for the joy of it and the love of it, or is it to connect?
It's both. Like when I'm in the studio, when I'm at my desk writing, then the urge is to create, to try and get a better idea, to get a better turn of phrase, to like improve, and when make things less clunky. And like, I'm on this journey to try and be a better writer, a better rapper, you know, improve the craft. And then when I'm in front of people, when I'm in a room full of people, I want to connect. I want it to be real. Like, I want them to know that I care about them being there.
What does it take from yourself to establish that connection?
You just have to go in. You just have to be there. You have to put yourself through it and like go there, you know.
Is it hard to get there every night?
Yeah, it can be. Like, it's pretty full on. It's pretty full on like experience. Like, this is the longest tour I've ever done. You know, I've never done 5 weeks, so I'm learning a lot about how to kind of feel the exhaustion and also know that you still must respect every single person that's in that room because they weren't there for the last 4 weeks. They're just here tonight. You know, it's like...
You got to bring it every time.
It's deep, yeah. And even if we've done a couple of shows where there's like 20 people in the room, right? But one of them had driven 500 miles. So it's like...
Can't phone it in. Yeah,
so you're like... Part of you can't quite find the energy to... I can't go as hard as I would if there was like 1,000 people, but at the same time, it's this... You have to find this deeper other way of just landing in the space and making it real. And like, in a lot of ways, you're responsible for everything that's happening in the room. You know, you have to just take responsibility for it and acknowledge it, and then you can bring everybody together, and then everybody can share it. You know.
Does it surprise you that you can find that joy and energy every night?
No, man. It's my actual. This is it. This is the thing. You know. This is it.
You changed your last name from Calvert to Tempest. Tempest being a violent storm, an unstoppable force of nature. Why?
Well, I never changed my name. Like, I was a rapper. My rap name was Tempest, Essential Tempest. And then I started doing all these poetry things, like, which again was I had rent to pay, and suddenly there was these poetry was there was some funding organisations in London where I was living that were like you could actually get paid for a gig, which was like impossible in UK hip hop. And I couldn't just be Tempest. There was a TV show on called Gladiators. I don't know if you've seen it here, but it's this ridiculous show where like these gymnasts in like tiny leotards fight contenders.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was one called Tempest, and she had like really curly hair. So I was like, oh, I can't be called Tempest because she's got that now. So then I was like, oh, I'm just Kate Tempest. Anyway, that's how it happened. It wasn't like this kind of remarkable, like, I will take on the persona of a storm.
Okay.
I just used to like talk about Tempest all the time because I felt very elemental. I love the sea. I love storms, you know.
When you're in that state of performance, does anything scare you?
Don't know about scare. Like, I get unsettled if like I can feel that I'm not quite there, or I can if something goes wrong. Like if like technology breaks, it's always fine. You just do an a cappella, it's fine. But like it's fine.
That's good actually being a poet, right? You have that arsenal of a cappellas in case the...
Man, we were at Glastonbury Festival, right? Last year, it was the biggest show we'd done there. It was like it was amazing. Been on this journey towards trying to get an actual stage at Glastonbury for 5 years. It's like the first. We're in this like stage. There's people like spilling out. They're as far as the eye can see outside of this tent, right? I've never seen so many people in my life. I'm like all fired up, feel like Muhammad Ali backstage. Like, right, okay, go out there. Everything breaks. Like we can't. The SPDs are broken. We can't play. I was doing a cappellas for like probably about 12 minutes, just like.
Wow.
And it was all right.
Just doing your poetry, no beats, no sound, nothing.
It was fine, but it was heartbreaking. You want to just bring it, and like sometimes when things like that happen, it just creates a different kind of energy. Obviously, like
audiences love it
because they know it's live, and they can see you struggle, and they can see you get through it, and they're a part of it. I think that's a really important thing to say as well about live performance. If you're so scared by it or you're so tired, you go out and you just do the same show you always do, and you get bands or artists that they need to do that for their own safety, but unless you connect with the space and make it happen in that moment, then this should be what could just be watching it on YouTube. I don't know.
What's next for you?
I'm writing a novel at the minute, which will be out next year at some point, and I'm working on the next record, which is like so exciting. So I can't wait.
Already working on the next record?
Yeah, we've been on tour for ages, so we don't have a lot of time to like properly bed into the studio. But yeah, I'm writing it. It's coming along. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to just get in and finish that, and then beyond that. Lots of ideas.
Well, thank you guys so much. I know you got a busy schedule, more festivals this summer, right?
Yeah, we're off to Barcelona in a minute to do Sonar, and then we're finished in the US now, but we'll be playing all over kind of UK and European festivals. So if any of the listeners have got friends in our neck of the woods, send them our way. And yeah, thanks. So I ramble on, I talk too much, I get excited.
No, you don't ramble on at all. No, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.